Annyeonghaseyo friends, and welcome back to the Torsie channel for more IU, and happy Friday Day to you. We are finally going to watch the music video for 23. I have been hanging out for this since we started our Chat Shire chats. There's no way to talk about talking about Chat Shire without just calling it a chat. We have been chat sharing for a little while now, and now that we've done full album listens over on Patreon and a breakdown of all of the lyrics over on Patreon, it's time to watch all of the performances and see what we get out of that. Because as we've learnt now, you change one thing with IU, you change everything, and every performance gives you something else. So I'm super keen to see the music video. And then over on Patreon today for Friday Day, we are watching the live performance on 2015 SAF, the SBS Entertainment live show, which has been recommended to me by one of our wonderful patrons, who I assume is called EZ, though in Australia we would say EZ. So either one, EZ, EZ. Thank you for the recommendation. Let's get into 23, the music video. Let's go. Catch ya. Whoa. Ooh. What? It's amazing. Oh, Cheshire Cat. It's amazing. Oh my god. That's a Barbie from the 50s. What? Oh, that's too cute. Oh. No way. Oh. Oh. Wow. What? Oh, honey. that was absolutely psychotic. I loved it. Ooh, 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 ooh. That was such a good embodiment of Alice in Wonderland because, as I'm sure we all know by now, because we are adults and so we get to understand these things, unlike when we're children and we read this story. Alice in Wonderland is very much about drugs. Very, very much about drugs, especially the caterpillar who's there smoking a hookah and then tells you to eat mushrooms in order to get bigger and smaller and whatever else. Like, it's about drugs. So the absolutely psychedelic, fun and entertaining but borderline terrifying element to that whole concept is so properly Alice in Wonderland. A lot of the depictions of Alice in Wonderland are very sweetly, but you have to, oh my God, look at me like crossing my legs in order to have this conversation with you. Like, let's get comfy. A lot of what we don't remember about Alice in Wonderland if we're used to watching the films is that there's a whole lot of really, really dark elements to it. Things that are quite predatory and eerie, and this underlying current of threat that's constantly there. The Cheshire Cat, for all of his grins, is slightly menacing and is setting you up for an enormous amount of failure, potentially. Could be sending you off to your death to have your head chopped off by the Red Queen, by the Queen of Hearts, potentially. So having the Cheshire Cat sort of lurking over her shoulder through the entire thing is not just a symbol of the theme of the song, which is being indecisive. You know, I'm 23, I kind of could so easily go in any direction. Want to be in love, but I want to work. I want to act like an adult, but I want to act like a child. Like, there's so much contradiction in there. A fox that pretends to be a bear, that pretends to be a fox, you know, round and round and round. And the Cheshire Cat, who Alice asks for directions, is unhelpful and kind of contradicts himself and points in two different directions and doesn't actually give her any answers. So this motif lurking over her shoulder the entire time is a symbol of being directionless and having options without having a clear path, and a little bit of menace. Because what happens if you go in the wrong direction? So the Follow the White Rabbit is fabulous. All of the characters turning up. We saw the caterpillar, we saw the cat, we saw the white rabbit, and her chasing it and chasing the white rabbit. Again, it's kind of a drug reference, but following the white rabbit leads you to possibilities. It also is a bit of a merry chase because it's really difficult to catch the white rabbit. Alice spends a lot of time in Wonderland trying to find him without actually being able to get a hold of it. He's really elusive. Like knowing where to go with your future or being able to see a path clearly when you're only 23 is quite elusive. So constantly chasing the rabbit in the music video without actually being able to catch him is a great reference to Alice in Wonderland and a great reference to the mindset of somebody who is on the precipice of being an adult, where from now on the decisions that you make really affect your future, and being able to pick the right path and make the right choice is elusive. And by the end of the song, she still hasn't come to a decision. We also had a lot of colour themes through there of not clashing colours, but colours that aren't in the same spectrum. So her very first dress is blue and red. Blue, of course, being a cool colour, red being a hot colour. They're at the opposite ends of the spectrum from each other. So we're showing the duality there. The cake is pink and blue. So we're showing a duality there as well. If you want to read into pink and blue, I personally don't believe in anything being truly gendered. I don't believe colour belongs to a particular gender. I don't believe traits belong to a particular gender. You know, there aren't masculine and feminine traits. There's just human traits. But traditionally speaking, blue for boys, pink for girls. And so we are seeing just in the cake alone the duality of the masculine and the feminine side, which then comes back with things like talking about love versus career because of the societal expectation that women will chase love and men will chase their career. That ambition is a male trait and domesticity is a female trait. So we have that duality. And when she is in Wonderland and trying to make a decision, we have a lot of white, which of course is a neutral colour. Or more to the point, on the color spectrum, white is actually all colors combined. Black is a total absence of color. There's no colors in the spectrum, and that's what creates blackness. But all the colors at the spectrum at once is what makes white. So although white appears to be a blank canvas, it is simultaneously a blank canvas and all things at once. The red in the tea room, I mean, we could be making a nod to Red Queen coming up in the album, or that she appears to make a decision because she's picked one color, but then it changes again later. God, what else did we see? What else did we see? So much just happened. So much just happened. I mean, her face alone. You could have done the whole thing with just the camera and a close-up on her face, because she was giving so much of being up for it and then being over it, and being frightened of it and then being curious of it. She was going through all of the emotions, having quite mature looks and then sort of regressing and becoming a bit childlike. We even had moments with her hair where it was half up, half down, like she couldn't make a decision. I loved that purple ribbon top that we had in all of the photography for Chat Shire, that she was wrapped up in that purple ribbon, and now we have that again in the top. That was so well done. We also had an apple theme in there. Of course, that's a biblical reference of the apple from the tree of knowledge. Fun fact, nowhere in the Bible does it say the tree of knowledge bears apples as its fruit. It's just weirdly become the thing. But apples being a symbol of knowledge and of understanding, that when Eve eats the apple, she suddenly becomes aware of her nakedness. In this, when we're talking about the precipice of adulthood, eating the apple is suddenly having knowledge of the world and what you're about to enter into. Taking the apples and shoving it down your top to have bigger boobs is one, hilarious, but two, is to be suddenly aware of your womanhood and then to mimic that by making your body look more womanly with the apples was a really interesting and nice choice. There's also clocks over and over and over again, clocks in her bedroom, clocks in the tea room. We talked about clocks in JJ as well. There was a clock in there. Naturally, that's a symbol of the passage of time. Might have to squint at the screen to see if the hands are at 2 and 3, but if I were a set designer, I'd be putting the hands at 2 and 3. So probably, regardless, it is the passage of time. The choice of the Barbie and the milk bottle is really interesting. So that's a classic Barbie. That's a 1950s Barbie, like original. And in fact, I had one of those. It was my mother's. She had a gold swimming costume, not a black and white one. I'm a Barbie girl, and I can tell you that the black and white swimsuit Barbie was one of the first lineups of Barbies, if not the original. I think it could be the very first Barbie. So that messed up hair of that Barbie is not how Barbie should be presented. So we've already kind of destroyed that perfect image by messing up the hair of Barbie, who is supposed to be immaculate and overblown and ridiculous, but ideal body type for a woman. Sucking on the milk bottle and then pouring it over the Barbie's head could so easily be a dismissal of classic ideas of a woman's role in the world. Now that she's no longer drinking from the bottle herself, now that she's no longer the child, she uses it to destroy the idea that the first thing she should be doing is then having a child and living that 1950s Stepford idea of what it is to be a woman and what you're supposed to do as a woman. When we have the foxtail turn up, she's in her black outfit that's quite sexy and tied up with the ribbons, a little bit of a Lolita thing going on there, but really quite adult and inviting. And then the foxtail comes up, and of course foxes we associate with being cunning. Certainly in English, being foxy or being a fox is to be sexy or to be attractive. And then next to her, the other IU is all in white and with her headphones on, and so I think we have kind of the clash between the IU that has come before, who is music focused, pure, everybody's darling in the industry, and then sort of this other version of her that could be emerging now that she's an adult. I'm not sure what the symbolism of a bear is, because a bear is brutish and strong. So do we have the more subtle wit and cunning of a fox versus the outward brutality of a bear? Like, we could be talking about the two options of how one approaches life. Are you a little more cunning like a fox, or are you really brazen and forward like a bear? And she does have lyrics in there of, even if I'm rude, people let me get away with it. But then when I meet that person on the street, are they still smiling when they go around the corner? And it is that question of, should I be quite rude and confrontational and see how far I can get with it? Or should I be a little more sly, a little more subtle with how I approach things? And then perhaps I will ensure that everybody will like me. That person will still be smiling when they go around the corner. So that could be why a fox and a bear, because one is more subtle and cunning and the other one is super brazen and brash and upfront. And that could be the question there of which way she decides to go forward and present herself to other people. I found the blow-up sumo suit and then tiny IU kicking her off the screen a bit interesting. I'm not sure whether that's a comment on, again, what's expected of her as an idol. I mean, it is also reflective of kind of the body shape of Tweedledum and Tweedledee in Alice in Wonderland, that they're supposed to be like really quite round like balls and are apparently quite silly and talk in riddle and you can't get any sense out of them. This could be another sort of war of apparent stupidity, as is Tweedledum and Tweedledee, take it out by someone who's a little wittier, like the Cheshire Cat. I'm going to have a lot of could be's in this because so much happened that it could be almost anything, and we could / probably will end up talking about this a lot more. I swear I started the podcast to talk about all music and all I do is talk about IU. Oh, when we have the cigarette, which is then actually a party popper when she turns to, one of those things when she turns to camera. It's adulthood versus childhood again, because adults smoke and children have party popper things. So we have the duality of adult versus child there, and she's standing in a door frame at that time, the gateway into the next level, and the music video kind of gets more psychedelic from there as well. I can't believe she had the Mad Hatter give the finger in the middle of it. That was fantastic. This is such a brazen music video. And she shoots the apple off the Mad Hatter's head. If we talk about the apple as a symbol of knowledge, and then she goes ahead and destroys it with the arrow. We do have in Chat Shire also a theme of learning about the world and not really wanting to learn about the world. So in Glasses, there is a lot of the chorus, I don't want to put on my glasses to read the fine print. I don't want to put on my glasses to see any more of the reality that I already see. So in one part of the music video, she picks up the apple and to have that knowledge. And then in another part, she destroys it. So we have a conflict of wanting to know more and not wanting to know anymore. I spoke in the podcast about the pace of 23, that 23 goes from the second it starts, and it has a feeling of a runaway train. It just moves with this huge momentum. I love that that momentum has been shown through the music video, and particularly a forward momentum. It's kind of like watching a side-scrolling video game. She's running, chasing after things and going through doors and curtains and doors and curtains, and there's a lot of moving, going. If she pauses somewhere and makes a mess, okay, well, then she's confronted with another door. Are we going to move on? There's a question mark on it. Are we walking through that door? Are we going? Okay, off we go. So the music video is as pacey as the song and is as full of as much conflict as the lyrics, but still with that forward momentum as she moves from room to room and realm to realm, including going down the rabbit hole. And then we have that effect of zooming endlessly in, and it goes through her own face and everything, which reminds me a lot of BTS's Idol music video. We're still moving forward, but now us as the audience are like sprinting forward to IU and through IU's mind. That's what Alice in Wonderland looks like. It's nuts. We're all mad here. It should be psychedelic. Like any kind of display of Alice in Wonderland should be properly psychedelic, and on the one hand super, super fun, and on the other hand really disquieting. It just makes you a little bit uneasy, because everything in Alice in Wonderland should make you uneasy, because nothing is as it should be and nothing really makes sense, and the search for the path to get back home again, or to at least get yourself out of danger, is super convoluted and muddy, and no one's helping you and no one's giving you any directions. You've just got to figure it out for yourself, which is a lyric that's in Glasses as well, saying off the top of my head, even if there were hints, they're too small for me to read, so I'll have to figure this out for myself bit by bit. The signposts are pointing in all different directions. The rabbit's just going. The Cheshire Cat is leering over her shoulder at all times. When she tries to act more grown up, the Mad Hatter dummy gives her the finger. Like, no one's being helpful. She's having to figure it out for herself at the pace of a speeding train. Okay, watch me not be able to think about anything else. I'm going to have to watch that like 100 more times. So much happened. I'm going to have to watch that over and over and over again to see if I can really make a clear path through that. Which would be super ironic if I could, because I think the whole point is there is no clear path. So I think if you made absolute sense out of it as a viewer, the directors of the music video might have failed. It's quite possible that it's meant to be so freaking off kilter that even as an audience, we're like, what just happened? And we can't really get a grip on it because, hey, that's what it is to be 23 and that's what it is to be in Wonderland. There will be no grip on anything. Thank you very much. We're just here to get confused. I'm so glad we're finally onto all the performances. I'm super keen. Mega keen to watch as many performances of Chat Shire things as possible. If you have any performances of any of the Chat Shire songs that you're super keen to watch, drop it in the comments. We will definitely get to it. If it's from one of the music shows, we won't be able to watch it here because music show content gets blocked on YouTube, as does a lot of the time award show stuff. Not always, but it does happen. But if we can't watch it here, we'll definitely watch it on Patreon. So either way, we'll get to view it. As we'll be doing later today, we will watch the live performance of this on SBS. What's a live performance of this gonna look like? That choreography was super cute, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. That was really fun, a lot of that. That was great. So if you'd like to join us for the SBS live performance, the link to Patreon is in the description. Pop on over and we will be watching that later today. Thank you so much for joining me for more IU. 감사합니다. 사랑해요. And I will see you soon for more. 안녕.